Hi there, my name is Toby, and today I want to talk about life after death. And is there life after death? Now, most serious thinkers, philosophers nowadays, and even going back quite far into the past, would say that we don't know. And most people would say that we don't know. And the serious thinkers, they would say, nobody knows. And if you think you know, you're either an idiot or you're deluded, because nobody knows. Now, the problem is, if you go further back in history, older philosophies, and if you talk to psychics, visionaries, real ones, they all say, yes, of course there is. Now, the trouble is, these philosophers are stuck in a materialistic way of thinking. And from that perspective, you cannot know. You don't know. But if you can see things from the perspective of energy, the ether, then, yeah, of course there's life after death. In fact, there is no such thing as death. So there's no question of it. The question never arises. You see, life and death is simply an aspect of the material world, the body. The body is biological material. Biological material is simply organized substances, organized atoms. And there's some energy, some life force that is organizing them. That is the soul. But that is not physical. That is the ether, or in the ether. And so physical bodies are made of atoms, and these atoms are always moving around, reorganizing themselves. And if they lose organization, then the biological material does no longer work. There has to be a certain level of organization in the atoms for it to be alive. The moment you lose that organization, life disappears. The soul can no longer harness that body, because the body must have a way of working. It has to maintain an organization. So it needs a certain level of complexity. It has to be organized into this body. The atoms have to be organized. And you see, life and death is simply a process of that organization being created or happening, and also being destroyed. Once you break that organization, the body does not work anymore. Now the soul can't do anything with it. It becomes inanimate. See, here I've got crystals. These are inanimate objects. My soul cannot go in and do anything to that. It can't move. The atoms are fixed. In biological material, the atoms are always moving, changing. Substances coming together. It has to grow, continuously grow. And in order to have growth, there needs to be this certain level of complexity, certain balance of the 5 elements. 5 states of matter, which I've talked about before. Just so you know, the 5 states of matter are gas, we know that, liquid, we know that, solid, we know that, and then after solid we have crystal. So that's one more. It's a particular level of organization of a solid, crystalline formation. So that's the 4th state of matter. But above gas we also have plasma. So 5 states of matter. But we can also talk about them esoterically in the 5 elements. It's the 5 levels of the ether also. 5 levels of the ether are pure spirit, thought energy. Then you have etheric energy, emotional energy. Then after that you have light. Light is becoming objective, but we also have light that's in the ether. Light from the ether condenses into physical light. But physical light is still the ether. Physical light will condense into electricity. Electricity is physical, but it's still pure fluid energy. It's still the ether. And electricity will condense into plasma. I'm talking about a primordial plasma. It's pure fluid. It's still the ether. So 5 states of the ether. Thought energy moving to plasma. It's a crossover between spiritual energy and physical energy. This is how consciousness and the material world can interact through the ether. But after plasma, we then go down into the 5 states of matter, because plasma is leading towards the creation of atoms. Inside plasma, you have little bubbles created, and these are atoms. Little vortexes of plasma, highly condensed ether. Now, once we've got atoms, now we've got material substances. Now we can build a body. So we have to get all different types of atoms together with different types of energy. This body needs electricity, it needs light, it needs etheric energy, and it needs thought energy, consciousness. All of it has to be in this body to have life, soul and body combined. But a point of death simply means half of it stops working. The body doesn't work. So the consciousness can no longer interact with those atoms. There needs to be a process. You see, the consciousness energy can only do so much. Consciousness condenses into etheric energy. Etheric energy condenses into light. And light can have a physical effect. So in this body we have DNA, organized particles, organized atoms. It's organized in such a way that it only needs a little bit of energy and it can self-replicate. It can grow. So consciousness condenses into the DNA, and it can just trigger the DNA to grow. But if the DNA is broken, consciousness cannot do it. The DNA must be complete. It must have a certain level of complexity, ability just to reproduce. It has to self-replicate. That's the definition of life. The moment we lose the ability to self-replicate, then we call it death. But it just means consciousness cannot interact with those atoms anymore. But the ether is always there. Consciousness has not disappeared. It's still there. It's simply, life and death is simply a process that happens in this body. It's separate from consciousness. We're all the same. Everything is consciousness. But atoms are these localized bubbles of very condensed consciousness. Condensed into plasma and then locked into a little bubble. A double vortex of this ether that holds itself in a cymatic, a 3-dimensional bubble. And we call those atoms. Now, here's the interesting thing. In order to understand a bit more about life and death and the transition, I'll talk more and more about it, we need to understand the 3 states of consciousness, or the 3 states of mind. You see, we have the conscious mind, waking mind. We know that because now I'm conscious. The conscious mind means the way that consciousness can interact with this body and the material world around it. You see, I am just a body, but I'm not. This body is a method for me to interact with inanimate objects. So the soul can interact with this crystal, not directly, but indirectly through the body. So the conscious mind is when the consciousness is in the body and looking out. We're interpreting our five senses and we're localizing it into this body. So I have to be conscious. Now we all know that one. The next one is the subconscious mind. Now this is the dreaming mind, the dream. This is internal. This is the soul. It's gone to sleep. So the senses are shut off. You're not looking at the material world. Your body has gone to sleep. It's not moving. You're not interacting with objects. But you are, still to an extent. The soul has gone inwards. Consciousness has gone into the body. And it is experiencing feedback from the body. Memories in the body. The energy in the internal organs. Emotional energy stuck in the body is unraveling, digesting. And the soul is experiencing input from the body, feedback from the body. But now this is more subtle. This is an etheric feedback, emotional feedback. And furthermore, in that subconscious mind, the dreaming mind, because the soul is not localized, looking out, it can go into the etheric realm. It can experience the energy. So consciousness is experiencing a more subtle level of the energy, the ether, in the subconscious mind, the dreaming mind. And the dreaming mind is moving close to having a sensation, a feeling of being outside the body. In other words, the body could be dead, but you could still be in a dream. Consciousness existing in the dream without the body. Already the materialist cannot explain that or understand it, but they cannot deny it. Everyone has a dream. Everyone has feelings. The materialist just refuses to truly acknowledge it. So materialism is fundamentally flawed. I don't care how clever the philosopher is or the scientist is. Your philosophy is fundamentally flawed. You're not facing up to reality. Reality is the dream. And now we've got the third state of mind. Here's where it gets interesting. The third state of mind is the unconscious mind. So this is still the dreaming mind, but it's the deep sleep. You go into deep sleep, dreamless sleep. Total relaxation. Nothing happening. You go outside all experience. You're not experiencing time. You're not experiencing space. Nothing. You are unconscious. You have it in martial arts. You get knocked out. Oof. I've been knocked out fighting in martial arts. Ironically, not hitting the head, I was hitting the ribs. I was fighting a very powerful fighter with kicks, and he did me a spin kick into my ribs. He broke my ribs, but he knocked me out. Instantaneously, all the air came out, I collapsed, and I passed out. And when I woke up, I said, where am I? What on earth is going on? I went into the unconscious mind. The body went into a state where I could no longer control it. It was not death, but it was a temporary state where the body has gone out of control. The soul cannot control it at all. It cannot even feel the internal organs. It gets knocked right out into the unconscious mind. Now the unconscious mind, now we can look at that as death. And what do they say? Rest in peace. You've gone all the way to the unconscious mind. Now that is a nothingness. And that's what people think. After death, there is nothing. That's it. Yeah, you're talking about the unconscious mind. But here's the thing. This is where the philosophers have got it wrong. Unconscious mind is emptiness, nothingness. But inside the nothingness, there is also infinity, infinite energy inside the no energy. This is the ether. You've gone all the way back to the ether. The ether, I've also called it this, and you can call it inertia. Scientists will understand inertia. It means no energy, zero energy, nothing, it's gone. But the ancient Greek meaning of the word inertia was also infinite potentiality. Infinite potential. Potential energy is there in infinite form. It's nothing and it's everything. And in the Tao, they call this the Wu Qi. It means the pregnant void. It's a void, the darkness, emptiness, but it is pregnant, filled with potential, potential life. That's the unconscious mind. And in the unconscious mind, we are all connected. All consciousness is one. Everything is there. So that is the collective unconscious. People talk about it like that. But that is the pure spirit. It is abstract, outside space and time. And from pure spirit, it can condense. From that can appear the subconscious mind. Etheric mind, an etheric body. That is still a focus of the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind slowly waking up. The unconscious nothingness wakes up into a dream. And then from the dream, it wakes up more. From the dream, you wake up into the conscious mind, the body. It's a process of consciousness condensing in, focusing in. Now we're in the body, we have a personality, an ego, I'm a singularity, a localization of consciousness energy. And I'm held in suspension by the atoms in this body. Very deep, very deep. And when we meditate, we're trying to go back to pure consciousness, towards the unconscious mind. There we tap into the ether. Infinite energy is there, and I can regenerate myself. Like you get knocked out, off, you're gone. When you wake up, it's, where am I? What am I? Who am I? For a moment you know nothing. Then slowly you wake up. Oh, I'm here in a body. Oh yeah, I recognise what's around me. You're now adjusting to the atoms. This is all just atoms around me. Localized atoms in space. These are atoms in the ether, but they are now fixed in space in the ether. My consciousness is fluid in the ether. I can move around in consciousness, go off anywhere. I can go all the way to the unconscious, vanish. So there is no death, but you have the subconscious and the unconscious mind. An ultimate death, you can call that returning back to the unconscious. But you haven't died. You're just in the ether. You always were, but your consciousness has gone back to the ether, spread out, or vanished. It hasn't vanished. It never vanishes. In the ether, all your loved ones are there. All your ancestors are there. In consciousness, the collective unconscious, all of us together. But we don't understand it from this materialistic perspective. We can't understand it. We're all worried about life and death. Don't worry about it. Now that's not to say you don't value it. When you understand how delicate life is, you will value it highly. Look after yourself. These atoms have to be in perfect balance in order for my consciousness to control them. I need this organization in the biological material. And again, you look at it, life and death, we eat animals, but other things will eat us. Animals will eat us also. The biological material is changing between bodies. We absorb it, we digest it, we excrete it, and then other bodies eat that, absorb it, digest it, excrete it. Biological material is in a continuous flow. That is the cycle of life and death. So again, we've got to understand that, learn how to flow with the cycle of life and death. It's slightly different to pleasure and pain. We get these two confused. Pain we think is death. Yeah, not necessarily. It's just an aspect of moving energy. Pain and suffering, pain and pleasure is an experience of the mind. Actually, two different things. I'll talk more about this in time. But for now, I just want to introduce this idea. Yeah, there is no death. There is a cycle of life and death because there is a process of biological material. Biological material is always here. I talked about this before. It's a steady state universe. There's no creation of life. It's always here. It's just in a process of motion. Biological material being absorbed, digested, excreted. DNA continually growing, changing. But it has to be there for consciousness to interact with it. And life and death is just when consciousness can no longer control that biological material. It's lost its complexity. The machine is broken. But it's not a machine, it's highly complex. We cannot hope to build a biological machine. A biological machine must be grown. So, I hope this made sense. Please do leave me any questions or comments, and I look forward to seeing you in any of these other videos here.